Hi there, students. Ward, not word, ward. As in the past simple of the verb to war, to make war. They warred for several years, but it's different. It's spelt differently. Ward is both a noun and a verb. Now, there's an old phrase, to keep ward, which means to keep guard. And I think the words ward and guard are closely linked. So, the guardianship of a child, when a child's parents dies, then there is somebody who acts as the child's ward, as their guardian. It's the person who watches over them. And a ward can also be an area of a castle, which gives us a ward, a part of a hospital, an area in a hospital, a room with more than 6 patients where a nurse or various nurses look after the people, all in a big room. Or a ward, an administrative division. So there are various wards in political wards, political areas in the city. We went to the ward which contained the emperor's palace. A ward, so a minor looked after by a guardian. After the death of his parents, he was declared a ward of the state. To ward, to guard, to ward off, to keep back, to turn aside. He warded off the attack. Okay, so ward. A ward, a separate area or room in a hospital for people with the same type of medical condition. The maternity ward, the children's ward, the surgical ward. Okay, these are different wards. In some countries, the areas in which a city or a town is divided into are called different wards, and each ward is represented by a member of the local council. So the city is made up of 21 wards, and each of those wards has a councillor in the town hall. A ward, a child particularly, who is under the legal protection of a guardian. Notice we're getting back to this word guard again. The child was made a ward of court. So a ward, a division in a hospital where patients with similar needs are treated. A political district for administrative purposes, a person who is under the protection of a guardian, to ward off, to keep back, to keep away. So, ward. The children's ward was brightly decorated. The geriatric ward provided specialised care. The detective investigated the murder that occurred within one ward of the city. The orphanage was divided into separate wards for boys and girls. They shared a room in the children's ward of the hospital. The politician launched a campaign to improve conditions in her electoral ward. She was appointed the guardian of her niece and became her ward. So ward. She was made a ward of court. She's a nurse for the children's ward. I recommend vitamin C to ward off colds, to keep them away. How can we ward off the impending environmental disaster? Insect repellent can be useful to ward off mosquitoes. She stood at the entrance to the maternity ward. A ward can also be an area in a hospital. He stood at the doorway of Ward B in the prison. He lay helpless in the hospital ward. The child was made a ward of the court. He brought his arm up in a futile attempt to ward off the blow. There are 3 candidates standing for election in this ward. She put up a fight to ward off her opponent. So, a large room in a hospital where people stay. A small area of a city for local elections. Somebody, particularly a child, who is under legal protection of another person or of a law court. She was made a ward of court. So, ward. This comes from Proto-Germanic wardana, to guard, from Proto-Indo-European were, to defend. We've got an Old English word, weardian, a guardian, a guard. So, to ward. Yeah, it's a doublet of the word guard. So, ward. Bye for now.